Yeah, so I went this line and my friends, my wife, everybody convincing me that, yeah, this is the song. I wasn't too impressed by the song, I admit, not at the time. So like anybody who trying to figure out more about something, you go and you read it. So I went and I get the lyrics and I read it. Then I read it again and I read it even more closely. And I asked myself, where's the poetry in Kess's Cocoa Tea? Let me find it. So I like to start with the content of the song, just getting a good idea of what the song is actually about. So it's an ex-love song. Yeah, we do 2 love songs to start. The poetic persona, which is the first person character in the poem, has found completion, healing and rejuvenation in an unnamed female character. He has been dreaming about her all day, miss how she named, and he feels warmed by her presence. Alright, that's about a metaphor to start with. Now, what is a metaphor? A direct comparison between 2 things that are not necessarily alike. We talk about the metaphor a little bit. The metaphor has 2 parts, the tenor and the vehicle. The tenor is the topic. T for tenor, T for topic, T for tenor, right? And the vehicle carries that comparison. So in line 3, when the poetic persona says, I is the cocoa tea, you is the sugar, he is the tenor, and the cocoa tea is the vehicle. I am the cocoa tea, and the woman is now our next tenor, and sugar is the vehicle. You are the sugar. Pretty solid metaphor, because in the next line, he extends the metaphor by saying together they are complete. I never really make cocoa tea. I don't know if sugar actually completes it or if you need other ingredients, etc. Anyway, we established the fact that the cocoa tea is the male. Now, any decent writer who kind of wants to extend a metaphor, you take the vehicle and you see how far it could go. In other words, you're asking yourself how many things this vehicle could do, how many things cocoa tea could actually do. Could it could heat, fire, raise temperature, smoothen, bubble, or all of the above, as he used there, all of the above. So kudos to the writers, Mical Teja, Kess and Tano, for really getting into some fun extensions on the cocoa tea metaphor. What is also great is that the metaphor helps them kind of build the setting for the song, which is somewhere where rain is falling. So obviously the cocoa tea is needed, so the metaphor automatically becomes stronger in that moment there. This is soca, so it hardly have an escape from sexual references, and of course they were not trying to escape from it. As a matter of fact, from the time you use cocoa in a soca song, you asking for trouble. For reasons that are beyond me, of course. So there is a line here that says, spill it all on the ground, all over the counter. First thing first, that person holding that cocoa tea needs to be a little more careful with that, because you can't be spilling cocoa tea all over the judgment place. These kind of puns veer into the traditional double entendre or double entendre, according to where they're from, and this simply means that one word or phrase has other meanings associated to it. So when you hear it, you can expect something else on top of that. Another popular technique in literature, especially in calypso, that of course would have originated from African griot forms, is the call and response. Now, I think implicit call and response happens in the poem. Now, that is not a real thing, I make that up. But what I'm saying here is when you say miss how she name, that kind of engages a female audience to insert their own selves in Kess's story, or am I stretching it too far? And it also engages the male audience to put in, I guess, their own female pursuits in the story. So miss how she name happens there. Now call and response kind of happening in the mind. We know that call and response is when the artist says something and the audience answers. So Kess doing it right here with Miss How She Name. And what also works really well is the fact that Miss How She Name usually has a negative connotation. Like, to me, people usually use how she name when they're dismissing somebody and they're too good to call the person names. So like, Miss How She Name, the person kind of have an insignificant vibes to them. But I think Kess and the other writers flip that here and now kind of have a positive meaning, and I appreciate when literature and writing is so strong that it could flip the general meaning of something. So now everyone wants to be Miss How She Name. And now there's a bit of inconsistency in the lyrics, especially from the metaphor, as I am not sure who eventually became the cocoa tea. At the start, we know the girl was the sugar, and we established that the man was the cocoa tea. We saw it because he asked to be heated up, and in that case, he's still the cocoa tea. He asked to be warmed up, fired up, spilled up on the counter. However, he then says, is your cocoa-tea he loves? Wait, wasn't he the cocoa-tea? Has he given up ownership of himself to her so that he can express love for himself? Does he even love himself? Does she now have a literal cup of cocoa-tea? Is she now the cocoa-tea? Now, with everything else, it could be my dunceness and I just missed the shift. All in all, nobody cares. Juvie morning, all inclusive, and in your church camp, because all they know in church camp, all is be getting on with. Nobody don't care about who the cocoa-tea was. For me personally, I could do it a little extra verse, but again, that is not really soca-esque to go further than what was already presented in terms of the lyrics and the writing. But overall, the writing is warm and smooth, and I appreciate the metaphorical work. I give it a solid 7.5 on the poetry scale. There's the poetry in Kesses, cocoa-tea. Listen, all references we use and the lyrics to anything we use are right in the description below this video. Remember to like and subscribe if you appreciated the content, and if there's some text that you want us to analyze, just drop it in the comments below. We'll get to it and find out where's the poetry.